Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala.
Govindam Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. It's a very famous song called Bhaja Govindam by Adi Shankaracharya, and it tells about the importance of this particular line. It's about the importance of Satsang. Satsang is to Nitsang, that is unattached attitude. Nitsangatve nirmohatam lead to no delusion. And delusion goes away, then you become established in that unchanging principle, Nischala Tattvam. And Nischala Tattvam will lead to Jivan Mukti, Mukti while you are alive. So that's the importance of Satsang.
As we all know, what is happening right now in US, and that's a perfect example what in Bhagavad Gita Shri Krishna says, when how your mind gets so disturbed that you become delusional. They are calling this person as delusional psychopath, the way he is behaving and the way bringing self-destruction to own country, own people. Exactly this happens with the mind. It self-destruct the person himself, the individual, the community. And this mind, this mind what we which we think we are, can be our friend to help us to go back home, or it can create a havoc like we are all seeing this. So we have to be very, very scared of friendship with this devil in us, because where it will take you, what it will make you think, what you can believe in, can be pathetic, can be detrimental to not just to you, to the society, to the people. It can do killings, it can do havoc. And such a clear example in front of us right now. So it's not that the satsang helps us, even the world around us also helps us to go within, to know the dangers. We don't have to be like, just we can learn from the people around us how dangerous it could be, to be in that. And how not to believe it. There one of the saints who lived up to 104, Swami Ram Sukh Das Ji, in Rishikesh, someone asked him that control of mind is so difficult, and you always talk that without the control of mind, we can't be there. Then how can we be there? And he gave a beautiful example. He gave a beautiful example that you can be there, but let the mind go where it wants to. That is another approach, and that is again very beautiful approach. When you know that you're not the body mind complex, then why do you worry where the mind is going? Let it go. Have you married your mind? Are you responsible for your mind? Are you responsible for this body, how long this body will live? Has anyone asked you where you will be born, and the death asks you when it will take this body away? When you have no say, then why you worry? Let mind go where it wants to go. Who cares? But you don't go behind mind, that's all. You just pay attention to the pure awareness. You stay in your bliss. Let mind go where it wants to. Why you are worried about the mind and the control of mind and the without mind I can't reach? Once we have disconnected, once we have decided and you are convinced that you are not the body mind complex, then who is asking you to follow body mind complex? When relationship is finished forever, then just leave your mind and body, treat them as a stranger. And he says one step more. He says that treat your mind as a dog's mind, the street dog. Why you pay so attention to this mind which is closer to you? Just because you still have interest, vested interest, selfish interest, egoistic interest. Otherwise, mind cannot disturb you. If you have decided, how people got enlightenment within seconds, within fraction of second, within couple of minutes. There are so many examples of people like that. How they got it? They understood and they just gave it up. They severed all the connections with the mind completely, immediately, instantaneously, forever, and they were free. And this same thing applies to us, but we have to have that convincing power that I will have no relationship with the mind whatsoever happens. Whether I live happily or miserably, or I don't get anything, or whatever happens, I have no connection with the mind. You can take that resolution right now and you can be free forever right now. Then what mind is doing or what mind is not doing, who cares? And you can listen to the stories. You might come across people who are realized soul, and sometimes they're talking something stupid, but they don't pay attention to what the mind might be thinking or the body is acting. They are there in their bliss. So the path of controlling the mind looks so difficult because we think all the thoughts have to disappear, no mind state, and then we will be established. But you establish as pure awareness and let mind come and go, let mind play, let mind bring thoughts and whatever, negative, positive. When we have no connection, then we are not paying any attention to any thought and we are not acting on any thought. We will believe on this intuitive power in the heart. And if we have decided to work from the heart, then nobody can force us to work from the mind. Who else is in our system except us? Who can force you? The external person will not even know whether you're working from your mind or working from your heart, or you are believing in intuitive power or you are following your thoughts. You just be established in pure awareness, the formless awareness, nameless. And believe me, you can't live even for a second without that awareness. That is the consciousness which is the source for the body-mind. Because we are with body-mind for a while, we think we are this body-mind. But it is our own interest in it. And no one is asking us, no one is checking us, but it is our duty to keep checking, be vigilant, and to know that our job is to stay as pure awareness all the time. First, by practice, to break the old habit, and then it becomes the natural state, because it is a natural state. You are getting dehypnotized from being in the mind game all the time. Thoughts, and then second thought, and third thought. So the method of self-inquiry, the method of self-attention, the method of paying attention to the pure awareness, it's all same. You can do it in any way, whatever works for you. The whole idea is not to get involved with the mind game. In Hindi, there is a saying, Man Jeeta Jag Jeeta, which means winning mind is winning word. Like you win if you have if you have transcended your mind, you have transcended everything. All is projection of the mind only. The whole world around us, all the activities, how people are behaving with you, how things are happening, it is only projection of the mind. The same mind which in dream sleep shows us so many dreams, and we believe when we are there. And everyone in that dream believes that it is happening that the way that it is happening. And then it shows us this dream. And then we believe in this. So how to break this dream? The only way to break this dream is give away all your relationship with the mind. Let it produce thoughts. What is mind? It just produces thoughts. Starts with the first egoistic thought. I thought. And then the I thought produces other thoughts. I makes you and then others and then all dualistic. Duality means mind only, nothing else. Beyond mind, it is everything is non-dual because it's pure awareness. And we touch non-duality, Advaita, every day in our deep sleep. We all touch that. And it gives only bliss and peace because it just relaxes the mind body. We are away. We actually detach from mind body every day, every night. And we feel happy about it. We have such a blissful sleep. Same thing we have to do in awake, but how? Just by paying attention to the pure awareness. The one in us which is pure witness, not involving with the mind, not involving with the body, not involving with the word, not trying to judge things as things are happening in the world, just staying there. Sakshi Bhav, just pure witness and observer. Because even if awareness wants to get involved, it cannot without taking help of the mind. It cannot. It's not in its nature to get involved. It cannot. It is just pure awareness. So whenever we are interested in any activity of the world, we are passionate about it, we are actually taking help of the mind. So it is not difficult. You can definitely be without it. James, you want to ask anything in any question? There was some sound.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, not at this point. When you were speaking, what came to mind was Papaji, how he would teach, how people would congregate around him and become quickly awakened. I'm just wondering how that happens. He was able to seemingly make people or help them to see that their mind had constructed this sort of Lego type world of the ego, and see it in a flash that it was all a meaningless construct. And when that happened, when they saw that, of course, their mind just settled and fell quiet, and there was no mind. I'm just wondering how he managed to pull that off so quickly for people.
Actually, to be honest, he never tried to do that. It just happens.
Yeah.
Because our level, when we say my frequency matches this person or doesn't match this person, or I feel vibes, good vibes, bad vibes, we use these terms, frequency and vibes, and I get along well. So what get along well when there is a person like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi sitting there in his pure awareness. He's not doing anything. He's just in pure awareness. And you, as a seeker, and not just a normal seeker, an advanced seeker, who has almost done all the job, it's just the last step left, and you come in contact of the pure consciousness, and you are almost just there. So all the coverings of you are gone, unfolded. Maybe slight smoke is left. As soon as the magnet of consciousness sees the consciousness, it just pulls it up. That power, that energy, because it's the same consciousness, same awareness in you, me, and everyone. If you are looking for it, and someone is already sitting as the source, as the powerhouse of it, it just make you, that combustion just makes your mind drop, because you have already done the hard yard. You have already traveled, you have already done. It's not for all the seekers that this happened. It happened with the very mature seekers who were already have done everything, or they have evolved to that extent that just a little bit of effort was needed, and they could see it.
Yeah.
And for some people, they stayed like that, maybe with some practice after that. But for some, it was like a glimpse, and then it dropped again for next 10, 20 years, or it never happened again. So for some people, it was mere an experience, a blissful experience. And for some, it was the eternal joy of enlightenment. So even the cow Lakshmi got enlightenment in front of Bhagavan, while some human beings never. Some actually came, lived with him, and then left and never followed his path. So it depends how much baggage we are bringing in a satsang, in a group, to a teacher. So it is our own sadhana, basically, what you bring in that moment, and then it frees. Look, during Bhagavan Ramana Jayanti, so many people, because most of the people right now have not seen Bhagavan, but they have seen Arunachala, and they can vouch for Arunachala, that hill, which is again a magnet, that power of energy. And when you go there with that, mature seekers, when they go there, they feel the same. And it makes the process quite fast in them to reach that. So it is exactly like Bhagavan is like sun. It is shining on everything. But if you are inside a hut or a house, then how can sun can shine on you? You have to come out of that, your layers of manomaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, annamaya kosha, vijnanmaya kosha, anandamaya, like the layers of existence of ours. If we are trying to move out, we can see that sun is already shining within, and that the shining can be more once you come out. So the grace of Bhagavan is already shining, like he's a powerhouse. But who touches is the one who comes out and who has already done that work of unfoldment. So Bhagavan used to understand his devotees very, very clearly. Sometimes he used to make fun of people who come there and who do, the Indian way of bowing in front of the teacher, like lying down flat with your hands.
Flat.
And he said, don't do gymnastics in front of me. And then someone is sitting at the corner with eyes closed, and he will make an eye contact with that person, so they can get all that energy, and their consciousness can further evolve. So this is the thing. I think he was always there for anyone who was a true spiritual seeker. He was always the same for everyone. But the true spiritual seeker at a higher level of wisdom could grasp it and could get out of it, Exactly the same thing happens even at the places. Some pilgrimage you go, the energy of the place can make you up. And the same thing happens where the energy levels are low. some parts of the city, where there are nightclubs and all that stuff happening at night, and you go and it has its own dark energy, can even pull you down. Same is with different types of people. Same is with the food. So there are so many things in this evolution. Because if you see, the evolution in a species is a gradual process, and it almost ends at the level of human beings. Once you are born as a human being, then it is your own self-effort which will make your evolution further. Until that, it's all by nature. From stone to plants to birds to animals to human being, and then it's your own self-efforts in that sense, which helps you to evolve more. And definitely a teacher, a satsang, scriptures, a method, a practice, all these help. And the most important thing is your own desire to evolve. If you don't have desire, then even all these methods and teachings are there. You just have to click one button on Google and everything is there. But it depends on your own interest in this thing. And when you are interested, you understand. It's like unfoldment of all what is pressing that jewel within us. It is covered. The thing which helps most is to just accept things as they are, because we spend a lot of energy in things around us, why this is going wrong and why this person is doing like this. We can say that there might be mistakes happening around us and we want to correct. But let's do first job to know ourselves. Then if the time is left, then we can sort out other stuff as well.
Actually, Bhagavan says this to T.P. Ramchandra here, who was the ashram lawyer, and after that he became personal attendant of Ramana, and he asked the same question, and he says, okay, accept things as such so that the karma is over. Otherwise, you are adding your own version, and it becomes double, and it goes on, even double, it becomes much more. Because somebody has done something, so I want to take revenge. It goes on and on, multiplies, there's no end to it. Now you are just watching, let it go. Then there is no reaction from our end. There's no karma done. Automatically it reduces, and it becomes zero. So that has to be practiced, means really enthusiastically practiced, and have nothing to do with any of these mind's reaction. Mind might react, but I will not act, even though the mind is pushing me to react. That kind of, this is, in Sanskrit, it's called dhira. You become such a dhira, such a strong person, that I'm not going to act as per my mind's wishes.
And yes, Nilakantanji, and the thing is that mind also, when it knows that you are a dhira, you are such a
Yes.
Stubborn person, the mind also gives up and leaves you, and then you are in that
Yes.
no mind state. Because how long it will
Yes.
keep knocking on your door, you just,
It also gets better.
it will, your freedom lies on how much you can stay still in your stillness.
Yes.
And this stillness is available to all of us. The only thing is to practice. First thing is to believe what you're listening, and see if there's any truth in it, and contemplate on it. Once you are convinced, once you have faith on this knowledge or this teaching, then apply on you. First, in experimental, in science we do experiments. We have a hypothesis. We start with a conclusion that A is equal to B, and then we try to prove it to see whether A is equal to B. So same is here, first you see whether this is a good experiment to be done. Is there any gravity in this truth? Others have done it? Have others have found the same result after doing it? You compare the notes, you check one person, second, third, Check 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 people. Read scriptures, compare notes. Once you think, yes, these people have done, they came to the same conclusion. Let me try now. Let me try. Because you don't want to waste your life in trying something which is stupid and crazy crap idea, which is just a theory or a philosophy. Why should we waste our time? Life is so precious, if it is something uh, which is not good to follow, then I could have spent this time in enjoyment. Let's just, like people say, there's only one life left. Live life king size, just enjoy, and and just do what you want to do. And they call it freedom. So you can go that path. But if you think there's some truth in this for eternal freedom, and if you are convinced, then work on yourself. And I'll assure you, there's no time, there's not single exception to this rule that you will be there if you have an intense longing and you work hard and you are honest. Honesty pays reward. If you're honest about it, you keep practicing, and soon the mind, because you're not engaging mind in any of its services, though it is producing thoughts because of your old habits, it knows that you like this type of music, these types of feelings, emotions, thoughts. Your money is on these things, but now you say, no, I'm not interested. Then what mind can do? Slowly and gradually it will subside, leaving you in perfect peace. Even when the mind is there and you stand still, you will be in peace, because you're not following what the mind is saying. Mind can come in so many forms. Sometimes it can even mold the teachings to its own comfort. Rather than raising the bar, it can bring it to its level and will say, oh, come on, doesn't matter, do this thing. It's fine. A lot of people do it. Who is watching? But remember, the watcher in us is us. Like people, as a kid, I used to hear people used to say, don't steal, God is watching. But now it is so clear that it is only me who is watching, and I and God, and that awareness, that pure. And who is stealing is what? That is just mind is stealing things or doing wrong things. It's not us. None of us do anything wrong. No one is sinner. There is no sinner. There is sin, but there is no sinner. And sin happens because of the mind and attachment to the mind and following the mind, and we do wrong things. But in purity, in truth, no one is sinner. I think it is very easy to understand, contemplate, and then work on it. And then all the work is internal. You don't have to go into a cave. You don't have to leave your family, your work. You continue what you're doing. But continue what you are doing. Instead of that, continue doing. You are just watching. So there's a slight difference that internally you are not a doer. You are just an observer. This is what you need to do. And things will happen exactly the way they are happening. If you want to do an experiment, you today decide that you are a non-doer. And because you are a non-doer, you will not do anything today and just sit there. 30 minutes will pass, 1 hour will pass, 2 hours will pass. And then there will be a big noise from the behind of your spouse that you have to do. Then what will you do? You will say, okay, I am a non-doer, but I still have to do because I have been asked, and you will do that thing. Then a phone call comes to do something. You are non-doer, but you have to follow because this is what has come. Responsibility, you will do it. You will be amazed to see that you personally don't want to do anything, but the day is making you do things. Just for my sake, please give 1 day to do the experiment, and your concepts will be clear that there is no doer. And even without planning, the second thing you can pick up, that I will not plan my day. The day plans itself. You just keep going the way it goes. So many times people who plan, they think I will do like this and then this will happen, and they feel so miserable and they suffer and they are unhappy because the day went in some different way. Because the day doesn't ask us, it is just the divine planning. As a non-doer, you're always happy because you don't want to do anything. You just want to be, you know that you're not a doer. You don't want to do anything and things are happening and you are just being involved and you are just doing. You have to do it, Spouse is asking, friend is asking, family is asking, kids are asking, parents are asking, the situation is asking, your job is asking. You are doing, you're just following as a non-doer. I'll tell you, this is so much of peace and bliss, whether the work is small or big or there is no work, because you are always in your resting mode, because you didn't plan anything. So whether things goes right or wrong, it doesn't affect you because it's not your planning. You are just a non-doer.
Krishna says this. Krishna says this in Gita, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi, Sarvarambha Parityagi. Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi. I'm not planning at all about anything. But by hook or crook, somebody comes and tells me to do something, Sarva Sankalpa, even that I renounce because I am doing it because they have asked me to do. I have no interest in that, but I will do to my best of my ability. That's all. There it stops. Sarvarambha Parityagi, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi. These are all key words for me. So anytime this gets in, immediately, automatically it can be applied. So that's the beauty of Gita. You can immediately apply those very two, just pick up two words and apply. So you're putting it in English. I'm used to this, so I'm telling like that.
Look, Neela Kantanji is supporting the documentary evidence of whatever is coming out, He's putting it into the right perspective. So everything, look, it is so practical. All these teachings are, I'm not talking from any book, but I'm just telling you that these are very simple things. You can do experiments. Life is an experiment only, And I'm telling you the experiments which I have done myself, to look into things, how they work. Being a scientist, being a neurologist, it came so handy to me. Let's use all these techniques in spirituality and see how far I can go. And it works. You get into that bliss by being an observer. And you experience that bliss and you still stay as an observer. And you experience peace and you stay as an observer. And you experience emptiness and you stay as an observer. And after some time, something happens that this bliss is also being observed. It is hard to convey that, but you just, even that bliss dissolves into this emptiness, in this awareness.
That's why it doesn't need any confirmation from anybody else. So you are immersed in that, and that's it. There's no need for any confirmation.
And it's happening right now. Everything is happening in that pure awareness only. this satsang, this talk, this listening, that all pervading awareness, which is pure witness to all what is unfolding in it. And we don't have to do anything for it. We just have to keep silent, be absorbed in this pure silence. Silence not created, silence within all of us. It's not borrowed, it's not any hypnotism, it is not imagination. It is the clear lake when there is no turbulence of mind, or when you have even accepted the turbulence of mind. Who cares? I am not mind, body. I am that pure awareness. I am that bliss, that peace, all pervading awareness. When you accept it wholeheartedly, without thinking, without intellectualizing, without making any concept out of it, as a pure, simple truth of your own self, abiding in your pure self as nothingness, just mere emptiness. That is bliss. It does not need any type of practice. All the practices are to get rid of the mind. But if you are convinced that you are not the mind and body, then mind can never disturb you. If your conviction is intense and 100%, then freedom is not in future. You are free because your innate nature is bliss, silence. And who are you? You are nothing. Mind, body are not your part. They are part of the nature, part of the world. They are decaying, they are impermanent, and they will disappear soon. Mind is not eternal. If mind is eternal, then you will never be free. Though mind looks subtle, but it's part of matter.
Matter.
You are not matter.
You can do an experiment for that. If you start taking, say, like example, I'll give you one idli per day. You increase it to 15 idlis during the increasing of the moon, waxing of the moon, and reduce it as it wanes. Then you will not remember any of the things you have learned. This is an experiment done in one of the Upanishads, that the father is asking the son to eat fully on the first day. Next time he will reduce it by one amount. Like that for 15 days, he goes on increasing, and the child cannot remember anything. And after 15 days, he increases slowly, and the next 15 days, suddenly he gets back the memory. That means mind is also matter. It's proven, and I have also tried this. And I know that I have so much memory about very, very slokas, and slowly the memory dwindles. So it is actually speaking, it's matter. But we don't initially, we have to, as you told, we have to convince ourselves by doing some experiments. Then it's really true. You know that it is happening.
You know, so many times I think I should write a book with all these experiment number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and manual to be free from the vagaries of the mind, and it would be good for a skeptical mind to do these experiments and just be free, you know, do 1 or 2 experiments and just be convinced and then don't touch the mind again.
Please do, Sanjay ji. Please do write.
We'll see when it happens.
And many small experiments you can do. Like the scriptures say that last thought, whatever you're doing during death, is maybe the first thing you come out in the next birth. So I was not at all convinced. One day I tried a nice small experiment. Like I was alone at home. It was way back in 1982. I was watching the late night news, and it was in the TV, the full screen. They showed, if I remember correct, General Noriega, who was in charge in Panama, who was caught by the US Army for smuggling drugs. So his shot was there in the whole TV, and I went to bed. And the next day morning, the thought was about him. So immediately, you know, like even after forgetting everything and sleeping, what you remember the last comes out as the first thought. So that is 100% clear that that's what is going to happen to me. If I think about something while I'm dying, I'll get that kind of a birth. So like that, you can do small experiments, and you'll again and again reconfirm that the scriptures or whatever we are experimenting is correct. The hypothesis is right. It'll come again and again.
I'll tell you a very good story about this thing. There was a saint in northern India, and he was an enlightened soul, but he wanted to teach a lesson to his disciples and devotees. So he used to be a Ram devotee and used to say Ram Ram. When he said, one day he said now he will be leaving the body, and he was just sitting, and then he was saying Ram Ram Ram. And one of his disciples was very, very close to him. At the end, just before leaving the body, he said, Am. Am means mango. And then he left the body. So the disciple who was very close, he thought why he said Am, and he left the body. So he just saw there was a mango tree there, and there was a big mango just in front of his eyes. So he went to that mango and took out that mango, and then he found a very small pupil, like a small insect, just very, very small, like just born, sitting on the top. So he crushed that insect, and then the big energy came from there where he rubbed, and it just went into the sky, because he was the energy, that was the power. And he just wanted to show this example to the people,
Yeah.
that his last thought was mango, and he was born as an insect on the mango. Though it finished so quickly, like he crushed, because he knew, he was 100% sure about his disciple, because he will pick it up and he will move him further. But it was just exactly like what Nilakantanji is saying. He wanted to show this experiment to the people, those hundreds and thousands of devotees, that what is the value of the last thought. He did it deliberately to give an example that what is the meaning. So but this the last thought thing can be, if you are in pure awareness and you're not in thoughts, then what can bind you? And that is the reason why the game with the mind is so dangerous. And we don't know when the death is knocking on our door. We are all living a rental life. rental on this body, and we don't know when we would be asked to vacate this body. Nobody knows. Like you rent a home, you get some notice 2 weeks, 4 weeks, here we don't know. We have to be ready all the time. So be vigilant, don't involve in your mind, and with that practice you can be free of mind in no time, because whatever the last thought takes you into the next and the next. And it is very, very easy, because it's just a habit. And to give up a habit, you have to work a little bit hard, in a sense that you have to try not to get into the mind. You get into the mind and you get lost into the mind, and then come back again and just be a witness. And then if you get again, then come back as a witness. With a constant practice, slowly and gradually, you can stay without mind as a pure awareness, as a witness that you're not involved. And then what is going to happen is the mind will also lose grip on you. And because you're staying in awareness for so much time, that power of awareness will move you in. And the mind will dissolve in that effulgent power of awareness. So just practice and patience. And practice and patience comes when we have desire or longing for it. And longing and desire, someone asked me the other day, how can we increase our longing or desire? And to increase longing and desire, there are so many rules. Very small, simple things. Foremost is your food. More of organic, plant-based diet in moderation, less spicy, and more sattvic food. The second is making a more disciplined life, using this body to help others rather than to help yourself. Rather than in sensory indulgences and entertainment for the body and mind, use it for others. That brings more purity to the body and mind. And spend time in solitude within your own self, and spend time with people who are interested in this thing. How many, you would be fortunate to find a satsang, a group of people who are interested only in this purity. No cult, no other dramas, no paid gurus, and whatever happens, part of the materialistic world, but just in purity, sincerely, who all want to be free or want to be in their pure self. Finding a group. I have to be very honest, in all these years I have never found a group. It was like a like a personal journey, into it. But there's a different...
I was lucky in the sense that in Hong Kong, I lived there for 14 years. We used to have 3 satsangs per week.
Oh, beautiful.
So like here, what you're doing. So, so I used to tell it, that was my formative years. That is from 26 to 40, I was there, my age. So can you imagine at that age going to satsang? Everybody was over 50. I was the only 27-year-old kid going there.
Yes.
So, but they all nurtured me, because those kinds of persons nurtured me very well.
No, I am indebted to so many people. Like when I was young, I was involved in the Osho's, not with him directly, but his disciples, and the libraries and books, and practicing, doing Sakriya Dhyan and all those techniques, Kundalini. I was also very much close to Ramakrishna Mission, Swamis, spending time with them, lot of time with them in my younger days. And some of them are still good friend of mine, those Swamis. They were brahmachari at that time, my age group, young, budding, sannyasis. I've spent a lot of time with them. So look, what I'm saying is, it's not that, but a satsang group of, let's say, 10-20 people together, this is something amazing. This never happened, but it was one-to-one interaction with all these people, who were into an organization, who knew much, much more than me, and who helped me to understand it more clearly. So I think we all have done in our own ways, but let's just finish it. Let's just do it together. And there's nothing to do it also, actually, they just understand it and just be. It is just convincing yourself, that's all. I think Elaine wants to say something.
Yes. I'd like to just go back to the topic of non-doing and your ideas of experiments of choosing a day to do nothing and to be the non-doer. And I was wondering if I was sitting in the garden in the backyard deciding I'm going to be a non-doer, and nobody asked me to do something. No, my husband didn't ask me. Nobody rang up, and it was just very quiet. But I'm sitting in the garden and I see a plant or a flower which is drooping over and is asking for water. And I wonder if I go into a response, whether that becomes doing or whether that is a response, and it's performed as a non-doer. So I go and gather the water, I water the plant, and then perhaps I sit down again. So the garden becomes a teacher, or it starts making demands on me, or presents something, and I'm noticing more clearly that needs to be taken care of, or this needs to be trimmed, because I'm sitting quietly and I'm observing. But that's the tricky part for me, because I sort of then step into a lot of acting out and doing and busyness. It's something flips for me. Yes. I wonder if you could comment on that, please.
Elaine, there's a very good answer to it, that when an intention arises in the mind to do a task, sit on it. The intention arises again, sit on it. Intention arises again, the same thing, then look into it. Let it take time rather than jumping, and that will help you a lot, because there are things which comes as your own discretionary power, like intuitive, that let's do this. And sometimes we don't even know why we are doing it, but then we think, oh, we did this because this is what it meant, and it has supposed to be done this way. That's why at that moment that's just the body acts. But whether body is acting from the divine will, or the body is acting because my mind is playing tricks on me and wants me to do this and that, to differentiate it, this just comes when you sit long in your awareness. But if you are still naive in that, then sit on that desire or that intention to do something and just let it be. And then again, I'll give you a very good example, that when in retreat programs I take like mindfulness meditation for half an hour, people are doing like this, and they are scratching their nose, and they are cleaning their throats, and you can see. And then there are people who are just sitting like that, and you do it for 5 days, you see some people are more fidgety. And why? Because they have not done this before. They are still going. And what would you say? Should I say to the person who is fidgety, don't do this, this is not the right way to do meditation? No, because they will learn in their own way, that they don't have to. Because first there is a thought that there is a irritation around the nose, they will scratch, and then it will be here. So what is this? The mind knows how to disturb this person during meditation. He knows your weaknesses, and because you don't give time for those things to just be there. Like, I'm not saying that they should not do it, but why it happens to one and not to other? Like sensations are in everyone's body, but some people during meditation especially, they become very fidgety because it's the mind which becomes restless and creates sensations. It wants your attention there, so you don't get into that. So these are like obstacles you have to overcome, and
There
the
is
power
a
comes to
famous
you.
example. There is a famous example in the life of Adi Shankaracharya. He was thinking of writing a commentary on Lalita Sahasranama, 1000 names of Goddess Lalita. He asked one of his students to bring that book, the palm leaf one. But again and again, he asked, the student brings Vishnu Sahasranama, 1000 names of Vishnu, God Vishnu. And again he asks, again the student brings thousands of Vishnu. Third time, he brings Vishnu. He thinks that God has ordered him to do a treatise on this, so he writes down a treatise on 1000 names of Vishnu and not Goddess. So what he initially told has been put into practice from early stages. That's what we are all following. So it's a very nice practice to sit on it, unless until third or fourth time it happens, then you act on it, so that it's God's will and not my will.
So really we're talking about discrimination.
I think more of your discerning power.
Yes, discerning.
Discerning.
Right. Being able to discriminate or discern whether it's coming from here or, from there. Yeah. Okay. So I can only sit with it and explore that and see what it uncovers and then report back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And even this could be, let's say, if you jump onto water the plant or something which is as a thought coming to you, how long those mind thoughts will disturb you. You can just come back and just sit as a non-doer. Let's say there's really intense desire to give water to that plant, you do it and then come, you will start knowing then, and then the mind says now I have to cut, then you will take a scissor and you cut and then you come sit, then look, it is just the mind playing tricks, you will know it. But yeah, it just happens. It's no one can give you a answer just sitting on a question, I think, rather than acting too quick.
That is very helpful from both of you. Thank you.
I can give you.
I'll play with it.
Ellen, I can give you a lot of examples. I visited a sadhu in a cave in Mount Abu in India. He was 120 plus years old, but he looked like he was in his 70s and was guru of my friend. So I went there. So he was telling me about a story about him, that how a man wanted to grab all the area where, he was living in the cave, and there was a small ashram, not much money, but like, people still want to acquire if someone is helpless or is a sadhu or a sage, And so his devotees said, look, we will do case, we can do this, and I know this, and I know that, and whatever. And he said, just leave it. And one day I think he wanted to acquire, and he got the papers done on his name and all. And then suddenly things just changed on its own. Everything changed, and that man's heart melted, and he came and he said sorry, and he wanted to kill that sadhu. And he said, just leave it. Whatever divine has to do, let divine do it. But it looks very stupid to a person who works from the mind, that if we have all the power and connections, we can do it. We can sort it out. Who is this person? And he said, no, just leave it. So this is the thing. This is, at the end of the day, what will happen? He will throw him out of that ashram. How does it matter? If you have pure awareness, if you have no ego, if you are fearless, how does it matter? Even if he throws out of that ashram, it's not a big deal. So, you look from that absolute everything, and that absolute takes care of you in the best possible way.
Mm. Mm.
Because
Thank you.
because
happens in the
before
life
the
of
absolute, the God takes care, we jump on to save this body mind from the ego. And so the God says, okay, I have no role to play in this person. He's taking care of himself. I'll go somewhere else.
This happened in the life of Trinai Swami, who was one of the, inspired by Ramanaji again. He asked him to sit or kneel, and he stood there in one of the houses. In the front, there is a small parapet wall. He was sitting there. The householders used to feed him, and he was there for some 13, 14 years. And suddenly the householder came and told him that the landlord wants to sell this off. So we have to move. You have to also move. And the saint kept quiet and said that I will wait here. But something happened after 3 months. The landlord came and told him that please continue for 3 more years. I will need it only after 3 years. So the saint was just sitting there, and suddenly after, when it was around about 2.5 years, some Westerner came to Tiruvannamalai and he bought the land just opposite, and he built the building, and he said that I'll be here only for 1 month per year. So as the couple saying that as he is asking you to vacate, you can stay there. So Trinai Swami also occupied that. So it automatically happened because he has not done any initiative at all. So you can again and again, many instances in my life, after that my father was ill and my sister was saying this, that, and listen, my father, whether he wants me to come, I asked him, even I never, I will be coming. And suddenly this one came out, that the COVID came. I booked in last March, I could not travel. And now suddenly when the doctor certificate came, I applied, and I'm just landed here. Otherwise I would have come here even last year also. So we just don't know. Suddenly things just happen without our taking some initiative to drive something and all. That's not the way it works. It is the work of, there is no mind or no intention from our part. And the drama unfolds just like that, and you just follow the drama. And never tell others that again, don't tell others that I'm doing this, because again the ego will get come into play. Just leave it as such, so that it's not event, it's a non-event. It goes on like that.
Thank you. Yeah, very helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's sit in silence for a while. We had a beautiful discussion among ourselves about this pure silence, pure awareness. Respect this awareness. Give it the utmost importance. If you have a teacher, you believe in any God, give it that name with full reverence, respect, devotion, with inquisitiveness, with love, with gratitude. Pay attention to the pure awareness, not the mind. Abide in its pure silence. And be that. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.